off. See, I have to pull it all the way down here. Okay. How's everybody this evening? I'm gonna have to. All right, I'm the grandma. I want to thank Ed and the crew for inviting me to be a speaker. I love Ed. I've been knowing him for a while, and this is great. I want to thank you all, those of you who know who I am and you know that you supported me with your prayers, with letters to me, with letters to Ron Paul, and with resources. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have had as hard a time. I had a hard time, but it would have been really worse if it wasn't for you guys that really supported me. So give yourselves a hand, the ones that know and supported me. Right. There we go. We're going to talk a little bit about illusion and the reality of the income tax. First of all, we have to define illusion and reality. An illusion is a thing that's wrongly perceived or interpreted. In other words, just because you heard it or learned it doesn't mean it's so. Am I right? Mm-hmm. On the other hand, reality is defined as the state of things as they actually exist, as opposed to what you think exists. Isn't that a beautiful Montana sky? This place is just gorgeous, isn't it? I've never been here before. Thank goodness that I got a chance to come. It was on my list. Not my bucket list, but my list. Reality to me is synonymous with truth. Truth is truth for everybody, or it's not truth at all. The earth is round and revolves around the sun. The sky is blue, the grass is green, and babies grow up to be adults. Those are universal truths. So let's talk about another universal truth. Now let's move to this one. These were laid down in this country by the Founding Fathers. The Declaration of Independence says, and I quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights." Let me park right there for a minute. I don't know what you guys were taught in the government school, but they said inalienable. What is inalienable? Are you an alien? What is inalienable? But you all know, especially those that know about the IRS, you know what a lien is, don't you? Unalienable means it cannot have a lien put on it. You cannot put a lien on my God-given rights. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. I don't know about you, but did you consent to all this crap that government and DC is sending out on us? Did you consent to it? Okay, thank you. I certainly didn't. These truths make the IRS and the income tax an illusion because they take away life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The income tax is wrongly perceived and interpreted. It's an illusion because we have been part of a great American brainwash. And so many other speakers before me talked about how we've been brainwashed. But the IRS does this by illegal force. And some of you know that because I've talked to you. When I learned about the IRS and the income tax and that it was an illusion, I purposed to expose the illusion. Not a good idea. Unlike Dorothy and her outcome in The Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch captured me, and she and her monkeys locked me up in the slammer for 3 years of a 4-year misdemeanor sentence. Everybody says that is unprecedented. You got to be a felon. Nobody can lock anybody up on a misdemeanor for, yes, they did that, and kept me 3 years to the day. The reason that I didn't stay 4 is because they had to give me 6 months good time because I didn't get in trouble, and 6 months halfway house. But I stayed locked up in a prison, a federal prison, for 3 years to the day. Let me tell you exactly what happened. Now, I grew up believing in, and I was taught, another illusion called the American dream. I went to school, I got a CPA, I worked for CPA firms, didn't like that much. Went to corporate America. How many of you know that corporate America is so political? My father taught me not to complain in the house. If you don't like where you are at point A, go to point B. So I moved out of that, and guess what I did? I took a job at the IRS. How many of you just love the IRS? Raise your hand if you love the IRS. My name for the IRS is the insidious representatives of Satan. Because what they do is they take away from you and do things that they're not supposed to do and that you don't want them to do, and give it to people that don't need it and haven't worked for it. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So I started thinking, I didn't leave because I found out. I didn't find out till later, but I started thinking something's wrong here. Just like the red pill said, we know something's wrong. We have that feeling. And this particular poster that I have in my office at home tells the story of how I started feeling. It says, if stealing 100% of the product of someone's labor is slavery, at what percentage is it not slavery? So it doesn't matter whether you're black, white, blue, green, purple, with polka dots. You are slaves to the system. So we need to get over all this stuff. I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican. I'm black, you're white, I'm a Jew. All that stuff. Y'all know the enemy's MO has been to divide and conquer. Why are we letting them be successful at it? Those of us that have the same mindset need to work together and get ourselves out of the sheeple corral that they're putting us in. The illusion is that you have to get good grades, and that's not what we want to do. We want to make sure that we know what's really going on. Because if you don't know what reality is, your reality is a fallacy. Got involved with We the People Foundation, Joe Bannister, and we were traveling around telling people what we learned. We didn't tell people what to do. We told them what we learned. And for that, in 2004, on a July morning, the government raided my home, had me at gunpoint, me and my family, corralled us in a little room, and we're in my house from 7:45 in the morning to 5 o'clock. Took 32 boxes and left. I didn't shut up because truth is truth for everybody, or it's not truth at all. In 2006, Aaron Russo, for those of you that have not heard of it, some of you I've talked to, made America, Freedom to Fascism. Go look it up, go Google it, go watch it. America, Freedom to Fascism. Former FBI agents, former IRS agents, Ron Paul, the great Ed Griffin was in it, some constitutional attorneys and historians, all telling the truth about we're being robbed about our money. Oh, the government didn't like that, so guess what? Here we go. I'm going to trial. And it was a kangaroo court. The judge basically said, I will instruct the jury on the law. But she didn't tell them what I was going to tell them. So there was that sentence, 4-year sentence on a misdemeanor. I am a hardline Christian. I had to make lemonade out of lemons. And I said, I am not going to come out of here worse than I came in. I said, you will not break me. I learned a lot of things, and then one of the things is, I don't want to be broke, because being broke, you live a life of compromise. I did not want to be subservient to anybody, and I wanted to make sure that I came out healthy, physically, spiritually, financially, socially, and mentally. And that's what I purpose to do. If you can see this bird, somebody told me what it was, I didn't know. It is a hawk. And one distinct thing about him is this is a bad boy. He has 2 fish. I had to get out of there and have the concentration to come out and say, I'm going to do what I need to do and make sure that I'm supposed to be where I'm supposed to be, because I'm not going to come, oh, woe is me, they put me in prison. No, that's not who I am. That's not who we are as Americans. Came out, went to grad school, got a master's degree, working on my doctor's. I wrote books. I started writing, How to Escape the Rat Race. How many of you want to escape the rat race? A lot of you are in the rat race, but there are ways out of the rat race. My flagship book, guys, How to Stick It to the IRS. Confessions from a Former Insider. And my friend in Oregon said, you had the balls to write a book called How to Stick It to the IRS? And I said to him, they stuck it to me, I'm going to stick it to them. Let me give y'all a secret. For most of you who probably don't know this, never make a black woman mad. I've been published in Fox and some other places, and guess what, guys? I got a chance to meet Morpheus in February. So we know how to turn these things around. Just because the situations are as they are in this country, if we get up and do what we need to do, we can change this country. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, now, let's talk about illusions versus reality. The illusion, again, get good grades in elementary school, high school, go get a good job, right? Use your slave surveillance number, your social security number, and be a tax slave subject to the ineptocracy for the rest of your life. What is the ineptocracy? An ineptocracy is a system of government where the least capable to lead are elected by the least capable of producing, and where the members of society least likely to sustain themselves or succeed are rewarded with goods and services paid for by the confiscated wealth of a diminishing number of producers. I am one of those producers, and I'm sick and tired of people taking what I earn. Are you tired of it? It's time to do something about it. The reality is that the government, even if they talk about other stuff, they do not want the American people to know about what's going on with the income tax. The reality about the income tax is serious. And what they do is they lock people up, like me, when truth comes about. You know, what have I done? I'm 5 feet tall, I'm a homeschooling mother, and then here I go. But then you got these rappers talking about killing cops and all that other stuff, and they get a slap on the hand. It's not about that. It's about them having the theft of our money, because the theft of our money is their power. I know you guys realize that. The only way to make our own reality without getting ourselves put in prison is to divest ourselves from the government, the corporations, and the banksters. The reality is you can start your own home-based business, which I totally advocate, and help your family prosper. Another reality, you can grow your own food for your family and for your community. I have a house with a little garden in the backyard. I have all kinds of stuff in there. My dad raised beds in there, and I'm growing. Now I'm in a battle, but it's not the battle that you think like everybody's talking about. I'm fighting the birds and the hamsters, so they won't eat up all my food. The reality is you can educate your own children so that they won't be brainwashed in the government schools. My children never graced the halls of a government school. My mother was a social worker for the local county, and she would come home with all these stories, and I made a mental note that I was not going to let my children go there. So for a while, they were in Christian school, and then they got homeschooled. And they used to hate it because it was so different. You know how that peer pressure is? But now they thank me profusely for not letting them be brainwashed like that. The reality is you need to stop looking at that thing that I call the electronic income reducer, or the electronic intellect reducer, called the TV. Turn it off and find out what's really going on in the world. You know, most people don't know that things that happen in China or in Australia or even, Brazil have an effect on us. They have no clue. I talk to people and they talk about, oh, I'm broke, and they got flat screen TVs in their house. That is brainwashing. Try to help people to realize that they're being brainwashed so we can all change. People don't think it's going to happen to them. They don't think it's going to happen to them until it does. And see, by that time, it's going to be too late. When the excrement hits the portable cooling device, it's going to be all over. And you all will be prepared, and you're going to have to protect what you have. So be prepared and protect what you have.